Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. Well, hey everybody, welcome to San Antonio. This is the EV truck rodeo that's going on here today, and it's a great opportunity for people who own or be interested in electric vehicles. We have everything from Ford F-150 Lightning, we have Cybertrucks, we have a Hummer as well, and also a couple of Rivians. So it's a great opportunity to kind of come out and compare shop and ask people who own them, what is it really like to own an electric truck, and is what you hear on social media actually true, or maybe there's a little bit more of a nuance and actual ownership might tell you a different story. So we're going to take a walk through here. You'll see some drone video as well of this event, and it's really just a great opportunity here, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. So let's go in and let's take a look around. So these series of small clips gives you a little idea of what it was like. I'd like to say thank you to Tariq Miller from EV Noir for putting on the event, also the San Antonio Tesla Club for supporting the event, and just bringing together a lot of people from the community to talk about the EV trucks. We had many owners with a variety of different vehicles. We also had a lot of attendees. Many people had questions, and they were able to get the answers directly from many of the owners, and I think that's probably the best way to find out what is really going on rather than just reading it on some publication or maybe by somebody's channel. And I think that was really the power of this particular event. And not everything was just positive. There were some issues that were raised as well. And I think that's an important part of this honest conversation for the EV vehicles and for just educating a larger population. And I found in my past that word of mouth and being able to talk to people directly is by far the best way to get a feel for what is going on and what you can expect. So the top of the screen, you can see the link, and it'll be in the video description if you want to see the full video. You know, if you're curious about the range of a particular vehicle, you can actually ask the owners that have used them. Some of them have 60, 70,000 miles on their vehicles already, and just getting that first-person experience has been a really key part of this event. I'd like to thank the people that put this on and made sure that this event was a great success. So I hope that you enjoyed this content and maybe learned a little bit along the way. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. So now let's get into the drone, let's fly around, and let's see what Giga-Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Due to the fog at the site this morning, I'm starting off on the west side at a lower altitude than normal, trying to keep the visibility as high as I can. And through the video, we'll see that this clears up, and by the end of the video, we'll have some really good visibility. But for right now, we'll start here on the west side, General Assembly on the north portion of that section of the building at this lower altitude. And we'll start with this concrete ramp that has been removed. We've seen that in progress. You can see the dirt area, but we also have seen saw cut sections of the concrete apron, and also where you see those stairs and the wooden panels for the doors. That staircase is also being removed, and all of these large sections of concrete are being transported up to the northeast side of the battery cathode plant for recycling at some point in the future. So pretty interesting to see that reconfiguration work going on in this section of the factory. As we come around the northwest corner of the 4680 battery cell production portion of the factory, we can get a good look at the activity here with the 3 platforms, 2 of them the steel, and the other one on the right is that temporary platform. And a lot of activity just continues in this section of the factory, making the new production lines for the 4680s, and from what I can see, that work is still progressing and doing most of it on the inside now. At the north end of the paint shop, we see more of the Cybertruck castings, but we also see on the northeast corner now, where the apron has been poured with concrete, they are putting more of those rack mounts along the side as we figured they would, and they're starting to use more of them, and that'll help keep this section a lot more tidy and clean, and also have easier access for all of the castings. It's a good view of some additional concrete work that is being done on that side on the right-hand side of the screen. And more of the rack mounts that have been added here. We see that that wide section of concrete on the left of the screen has been poured almost completely now. We also see more of the equipment and castings underneath the drone. And then this section where they have continued to remove the concrete on this apron, that is continuing to get wider. There's more of the concrete segments on the left of the center of the screen, and this is continuing to have that work done. So we'll be watching to see what happens here. The V2 chargers that used to be in that section have already been removed. So as I go over the power lines and look back towards the factory, we can see the concrete segment that has been poured. That screed is still positioned to do a little more of that concrete work. And then under this section is also where all of the conduit, electrical wires, and the power that goes from the switch yard to the factory runs through this particular area. More of the castings being stored here on the dirt sections, both on this side of the road and also next to those new receiving doors. So this is continuing to be something that they're dealing with the volume of the castings and not having all of that space in those racks quite yet. But we also see next to that secondary main entrance more of that work with those 5 receiving doors as well. Now that we are over the testing and calibration lot, I'll give you a good view here of the activity that is going on. A few Cybertrucks getting supercharged, and in the middle of the section of this parking lot, we're going to see there are a lot of Cybertrucks, but less than we've seen in the last couple of days. And I actually take this as a very positive sign, because the vehicles that are put here are put through some sort of testing or final checkouts, and when they are ready, then they are moved over to the outbound lot on the west side. So the fact that a lot of them are now gone is a great sign. Also, many of the ones that have been moved have been transported off-site, and we're going to see more of that activity in the west outbound lot. But in addition to that, we're starting to see new Cybertrucks come in here from the factory and replacing the ones that have been removed. So I think this is a really great sign. It shows that the inventory of the Cybertrucks are definitely changing, and not all of these are just sitting here for weeks and weeks. They're just here for a period of time, and then they will move out. So I'll bring the drone away a little bit over the helicopter pad, and this gives you a good view of some of the activity here. Now, you won't see this in the video, but later on I came back and got some additional photos, and there were Cybertrucks on the helicopter pad doing some testing as well. So that activity in that lot is definitely continuing, and since it's an early Monday, it'll only increase throughout the day. Now you'll see the new asphalt section with all of the markings here along the center and left-hand side of the screen. I noticed this on my previous video, and it looks like they just did some reworking of that area and put some different marking in, probably for traffic control. As we fly up over Tesla Road, we'll approach in to the remains of the temporary electrical switch yard, and we'll get a good view of the work that is going on now. The entire perimeter fence is gone. Pretty much all of the equipment is gone, with the exception of that one large transformer in the center of the screen and the 3 control rooms. There is an underlying copper grid that will be removed, but that will happen once all of the rest of the equipment is gone. And then the concrete you see in the upper right is just the remnants of the pole bases that supported the fence. But pretty much the disassembly and preparing for removal of the electrical switchyard is really moving along quickly. So I would expect to see the rest of that gone here this week. And here's a good view of the new permanent electrical switchyard and how it looks. This is what is providing all of the power to the factory, and it is the only permanent structure on this side. So we'll see what happens with that area where the temporary electrical switchyard is once that's all completed. So I'll continue to fly up over the power lines. You can see how the fog is still pretty strong in this part of the site, but if I bring the drone down a little lower altitude, that'll clear up. It's mostly something called slant range visibility, and that's looking at an angle through the cloud and the mist that makes it look a little bit more than it really is. But this is a good view of the north part of the Megapack site. And in the Megapack site itself, it looks like there's a truck and a worker doing some maintenance perhaps or inspections. I did see that ERCOT has officially certified that this is now operational. That took place a few weeks ago. So if there's any questions whatsoever, those have now been answered, and officially ERCOT has said that this is a fully operational commissioned section. So let's bring the drone up. We'll get ready to head over towards the battery cathode and die shop section of the site. Here's a good look at the area that is being prepared for the widening and extension of Tesla Road in this direction. And while we are here flying at a little bit lower altitude because of the mist in the clouds and a little bit of the fog, I'll show you the west side of the die shop. You can see the ground continues to be prepared probably for asphalt, and underneath this is part of that stormwater pipe and management system. So the fact that they're doing this preparation work shows that pretty much the work on that system is completed here. The west side shows some earth-moving trucks and some excavators. Also, it looks like some debris getting ready to be transported away from this section. A lot less materials as well, so perhaps we'll see the grade work continue into this particular area. Almost all of the steel corrugated pipes are also gone, which is another great sign that that work is nearing completion. The lift station still has its generator on the left, and you can see those white electrical boxes, so it is operational but doesn't have its own permanent electrical power. The north end of the battery cathode plant shows all of the bays, or at least 4 of the 5 for the receiving doors, having vehicles and trucks, which is a great sign again. And while I'm here, I'll try to use some of the lighting and give you a good view inside this 3rd floor. You can see it looks like there may be some furniture, some other equipment that has been brought to this part of the factory and still not completed. But it's good to see that they may be having some of the furniture being installed. As I pull away, a good view of the asphalt on both sides of the cathode plant now. And then here on the north end, as I bring the drone down lower, you get a good view of the concrete segments on the left that are coming from both the east and the west sides of the main factory. Also, some of the equipment, the bridge crane, still waiting for installation. Those stainless steel tanks also still waiting for installation. As we fly up on the east side, we get a good view of the battery test cell facility on the left and some of its supporting equipment. Also, the wade pit's almost empty now, and again, more of the asphalt that has just been laid down along this east side. I'm going to maneuver over the crash test facility, give you a good view of the south end where that work on that concrete, probably a tank, looks like the concrete's been poured. The forms have been removed and its basic shape appears like this right now. There does look like there's some sort of lip around the perimeter of the top, so maybe there'll be some sort of grate or some other maybe I don't know, superstructure that's added to that. So it'll be something that we'll continue to watch, and hopefully we'll be able to determine for sure what its purpose is. As I fly up over the roof section, I'll bring the drone back down here on the west side, show you that there's still been some activity going on right now with that high lift. It's moving that equipment up on top of that new temporary platform. And of course, the work here at the chiller plant resumes behind the plastic covered section. I'll try to give you a view down inside. It looks to me like there may be some new kind of silver pipes that have been added through that area. Another good view here of the roof, the heat exchangers, pipes, and so forth, and also some of the manifold system for the vaporizers and the tanks. I did notice that there are crews putting in what looks like maybe exhaust pipes on the top of the roof on the die shop, so maybe that indicates additional equipment is coming online within that facility. I want to reposition the drone here to the east side just to show you this continued clearing section. It's for the most part kind of square in shape, so I don't think it's going to be a road, but I think it may be just prepared with some gravel and used most likely for more materials, possibly some contractor trailers. But I'll just periodically see what the development is for that part of the site. So while we're flying over the East Warehouse on Wheels, I want to show you the intersection here that will eventually connect Robotic Avenue on the right, which is paved, to the new Robotic Avenue on the left, which is still having the preparations for the 2 lanes either way and the median. We also see a lot of the concrete items been delivered for the multi-level parking garage here on this temporary staging yard. And then at the site itself, there is quite a bit of activity going on. We'll see that on the right-hand side of the screen, a new column is being installed to continue to extend the facility. Also in the upper right, we see conduit, concrete vaults, and more work on that part of the factory. We see some concrete stair segments on the ground. So in this section, we may see another staircase, more of the double T panels getting ready to be lifted up and attached to the section here where is part of the ramps for the vehicles. And you can see the workers ready for those double T's to arrive. And then on this side, we see more of the exterior concrete panels being lifted up by the crane and installed by the crews. It does look like we have another set of footings to the east to go to extend the building even further. The intersection here of Robotic Avenue and eventually River Road looks like it's continuing to have some work, but it's not quite ready for that intersection to be completed yet. As we fly along the south side of the parking garage, this gives you a good sense of how long it is now becoming. And as we've mentioned before, this is an extremely large structure, and looks like on the bottom there's preparation for maybe concrete, more for the roof perhaps, with those 2 containers that are on the ground, plus additional work on all sides for conduit and water pipes along the edge of the building. While we're on the roof, I will give you a good look at the open section where we've seen the Evapco coolers, manifolds, and other plumbing. We can also see that underneath the beams, there's the wooden walkways that have been added. There's also some plastic sections being added on top of the roof. And overall, it looks like the installation underneath the open section is nearing to the point where we may start seeing those ventilation ducts that are currently being stored on the west side material staging brought over here and then installed. And that will help finish up this particular installation. So let's fly to the south and take a look at all of the activity for the building extension. The first thing I want to show you is on this southeast corner, there's 10 Cybertrucks. This is where they exit the factory for the first time and then drive over to the testing and calibration lot. So all of these are brand new, just finished, and just waiting for the drivers to move them over to that lot. We also see the progress on the 4 water tanks. We see some of the pipes that will be used for either filling or drainage or just for regular plumbing. That will be something I watch to see where they are installed and where they go to kind of give a better idea of the purpose of those tanks. And of course, another good view of the Cybertrucks on that roadway and that opening on the Stamping 2 extension where they exit the factory. The tank tops are still on the ground on the right of the screen, so we're still waiting for those to be installed as well. Here's a good view of the work on the perimeter grade beam with some of the forms and all of the crates that have been delivered with more of the glass. Now, I've had a viewer ask how many glass panes are in each of the crates. Originally, I was thinking it might have been 5 or 6, but based on the weight and based on some other viewer comments, the number may actually be more like 3 or 4, and that's because each of those panes of glass weighs about 12,000 pounds. We can get a good view of the entire south side from this altitude as I fly along the face of the south end, and the extent of the structure for the expansion is very clear now, and it looks like the cranes are beginning to work in the middle section, so they'll be bridging the gap between the original building and the new extension. Good view of the cyber pond, some of the materials and the trailers here on this side. This is where the offices are for the crews that are working on the extension. A good view of this southwest corner, and of course that trapezoidal atrium over that possibly new entrance or another entrance on that angled corner. And then here we see that the southwest corner next to the main building has had all of the footings done, most of the grade work. There's a lot of the steel items has been delivered and set out here, and the crane's getting ready to pick them up and continue to do the installation. As I maneuver around the crane on this side, give you a good view of how this other crane is getting ready to extend the steel structure further towards where the drone is. We see currently more of the beams being installed on that one section. And then here gives you a good view of the area in between the original building and Stamping 2 extension on the left and the new structure. And all of these are the footings that were reworked. It looks like that work is completed. You can also see next to this temporary staircase, there's an excavation that's going on the ground on the underneath the steel structure. And I'll give you a different view of that from the other side here shortly. But as you can tell, the Cybertrucks are now being driven over to that east lot. As I look down here, what I want to show you is the perimeter grade beam and its work to complete. You'll see the one piece that has the concrete has those pads for the glass, so the glass will extend at least to that far. And I'm curious to see how much farther around the edge of the building the glass will be installed, because at some point there's got to be an interface with the original building that is all concrete. So here's a good close-in view of the work that's going on for the mounts for the glass panes that will be installed. Here along this side, you can see the columns painted black, and as I bring the drone down, you can see that large excavation that is going on in this particular section. Interestingly enough, the perimeter grade beam on the bottom right, you can see, is actually double thickness. So that and the excavation gives us a sense that maybe there's going to be some large equipment installed into that particular part of the structure. As we continue to fly towards the west, we can see that many of the columns here for the glass have not been painted black yet, and most of the mounts, the pads on the beams and on the perimeter grade beam continue to be ready for that glass pane installation hardware when it's ready to go. So let's look across the highway, and I will resume the flight on this other side. I wanted to show you next to the West Warehouse on Wheels all of the concrete tunnel segments that the boring company is delivering here. Another section has just been delivered on this truck. Now, all of these items are manufactured in the boring company's Bastrop facility, which is about 15 miles to the east of here, and then trucked over to this particular site. a lot of the vehicles for the workers for the boring company crews. And then here's a really good view of the belt cassette. We can see that spool of belt and some of that white and yellow equipment getting ready to extend that belt through this beam and the A-frames over to the Proof Rock 3. And here's a good view of all of the various parts of the Proof Rock 3, some of them under the black tarps, and the rest being readied right now for the tunneling to commence. I noticed that the concrete segments for the tunnel, the first section of that, are no longer next to the tunnel boring machine, so it's possible they've been moved inside. And I also saw workers entering the aft end or the tail end of the tunnel boring machine, so they are actually working inside that drill head portion that you can see. Other crews have been marking out the path along the berm towards the highway for the boring tunneling operation. And then here's another good view of just the rest of the support equipment and items that are getting ready to support that operation. So hopefully this week we'll start seeing the tunneling operation. The west outbound lot is busy today, although not as many cars, and that's because they don't have production on Sundays. They're starting that back up here on Monday, and during that time, whatever vehicles are over here, they continue to have trucks pick them up and move them to the various distribution points, primarily the railhead up at Taylor, Texas, but there's other places as well. As I fly along here, this gives you a good sense of the Model Ys and the Cybertrucks on this side of the lot. Now, on Friday, after I posted the images of all of the Cybertrucks on site, the chief of the Cybertruck engineer for Tesla made a comment on my post saying that that was just the start, that soon we'll see an armada of Cybertrucks in the outbound lot. So hopefully we will, in fact, start seeing that here very soon, possibly this week. Here's a good view of the north end of the outbound lot. Still getting some of the trenching for the lighting. Once that is all completed and the equipment moved away, they'll be able to pave and extend the outbound lot even further, probably about 40 to 50% larger than it is right now. We see a pump truck pumping concrete onto the west side, and I'll give you a closer view of that shortly. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see preparation for more asphalt. And then here we can see that most of the glass has now been installed here on this north end portion of the end-of-line facility. All of the rebar for the concrete apron around this side. And as I mentioned, the concrete pump truck is currently waiting for another concrete truck to arrive, but you can see that they've already been pouring quite a bit. And this entire side from the building to the curb will be concrete from what I can tell. And then we'll see the asphalt on the outbound lot. So as we watch this work, we get a really good sense of how this entire complex will appear once it is completed. As I reposition the drone to look at the supercharger installation, we'll note that there's paving operations underway here right now, just to the south of the last bank of the superchargers. And we can get a good sense where the kind of the oil mix has been put onto the ground, where the asphalt will be laid here, at least for this point in time, and then we'll see how much it continues to work towards the south. This is also a good view of the supercharger station, the way that they have configured this, and eventually they will start erecting that canopy, and the mounts for that canopy are already in existence into the ground. Probably will just need some section of the asphalt picked up so they can do those connections. And again, on the bottom of the screen is that preparation for the asphalt on the east side. So that's a pretty quick, good look around the site. We started off as a foggy morning, but it has cleared up a lot. So really good views around the site. And as I pull away towards the southwest, this will give you a good view across this part of the site, the outbound lot, the end of line, the main factory, and in the distance you can see the battery cathode plant and die shop and the extension on the south end. Also on the bottom right, you'll see the trench work that is going on for more lighting for this parking lot that is under construction. So I hope you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about today. And as always, thank you very much for your support. Have a great week.